So let's straighten out what a mistake really means in the game of revision, as Neville Goddard calls it. So think of a mistake as just a blip, just a little misguidance. It's not too serious, nothing too dramatic. And this is not about pointing fingers or beating yourself up. It's just a slight detour from the true essence of the moment, from who you really are, and from the real identity of the others around you. And that is the breeding ground for so-called mistakes in revising or, manifesting what you do want instead. So here's where you might often trip up, diving headlong into manifesting techniques. And I'm sure you know the drill, right? You resort to subliminals, affirmations to rewire those brain patterns, visualizations, thinking of your desires, constantly trying to clutch at your desires. It's like trying to leap into the experience phase, skipping the essential pause and rest phase of my pause, rest, experience, manifesting process. So if your old unwanted narratives are still scribbled all over your state, jumping straight into new scripts is like slapping a fresh coat of paint over a muddy wall. As you can see, that will be very messy. Or imagine pulling a sleek evening gown over a bulky winter sweater. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. And frankly, it just doesn't work. It's not going to fit. It's not going to work for you. So I am Dr. Anilareddy, and for a unity with your desires, you can explore my Weightless Experience, which will take you deeper into what we've been talking about all this while. And for seamless experience with wealth and money and to manifest it, explore my More Than Enough course, all linked in the description box below. And for one-on-one coaching sessions, you can email me at hello@anilareddy.com. So, and we can get started from there. So coming back to this, what would be the ideal move then to leave or step out of this misguidance? This is where you glide back into the pause phase. This is the first phase in my 3-step process, which is the pause, rest, and experience process. Now, it's not really a process since often they can just happen very seamlessly, but let's call it a process for the sake of clarity. So the pause phase is this: you embrace the simplicity of stepping back and recognizing what is really unfolding and giving yourself a moment to just breathe. You're not rushing, you're not forcing. This is about clearing the canvas, not just covering up old marks. So take the time to really notice yourself. So when you step into the rest phase and eventually into the experience phase, it's just, you're stepping on a clean slate. It's a fresh, pristine foundation. That's how you ensure what you revise works, for the lack of a better word. They're not temporary patches to fix something that you feel is broken, but it's genuine lasting transformation. So what is this pause phase all about? It's like catching yourself while you are in the middle of worrying, stressing over something, fussing over something here and there, whether it's something from the past, something that you think you're witnessing right now, but it's usually the past, or waiting anxiously for the other shoe to drop. So picture yourself in like a slow motion replay, right? You're spotting every worry, everything that you've been overthinking about, and all this over maneuvering of techniques that you do when you're stuck in your old routines. Maybe you're trying to mentally shove aside a third party if your specific person is with someone else, or perhaps you're knocking yourself down a few pegs, or even others, to make your problem seem smaller by comparison. So, or let's say you're firing up every manifesting technique that is out there, that is in the book, barricading yourself with affirmations, whether isolating yourself, just affirming, or in your room, or you're trying to affirm throughout your day constantly, or you're so deep in like healing mode, you think there is some permanent self to fix with endless journaling, thinking that better equals getting exactly what you want. So it's an endless binge of self-help spaghetti that sticks to nothing, or sticks to very, very little. So here's what you do. You hit pause and just be with these patterns. Just notice them for, let's say, 3 solid days. You're not tweaking them. You're not adjusting them. You're not trying to change them. And I mean this. You're not rushing to switch up the scene to get to that perfect moment of manifestation. Rushing might feel like it's speeding things up, but here's the thing. It does not. If you skip this pause phase, this basic phase, any manifestation that does pop up will be like a guest who didn't really want to come to your party in the first place. And that doesn't sound very fun for you, I'm sure, because they'll be looking for the exit before the night's even started. So there's no cutting corners with the pause phase. It's about seeing, really seeing what you're up to with your old ways, and gently starting to undo or unlearn them by simply being aware of them, without slapping yourself on the wrist for it, without trying to correct it or change it. This is not just pausing for effect. It's not pausing just because someone tells you to, or something because I told you to. It's pausing to effect change, not for effect. So there's no escape, no shortcuts here. You're not just stopping to smell the roses. You're stopping to spot the weeds, right? So now let's ease into the rest phase. And no, you can't just hop, skip, and jump straight to the experience phase, or skip the pause phase and then come into the rest phase. No. So here in the rest phase, it's all about tuning into the noticer, the watcher, the observer within you. So who is this noticer or observer? And what is their take on things? Is this watcher fussing over problems, or just chilling out watching the show of your life unfold? Does this watcher, noticer, or observer see problems, disasters waiting to happen? Or is everything just chill. Essentially, a non-issue, a non-event, just empty space where drama used to be. And here's the thing about this watcher observer, it's also called awareness, God self or consciousness. It's the ultimate insider. It doesn't see errors, does not trip over troubles, nor does it fuss about fixing things. Why? Because awareness all it sees is itself. It's all about itself. It sees nothing outside of its own infinite scope. So awareness, does it even have any edge, an expiry date? Or is it just endless presence? Just notice that. Think about what you're experiencing right now. Can you notice that you are the one noticing? Can you notice that you are the one observing? Maybe you're hearing this video, absorbing the words. Now, who's noticing all of this? Who's catching all of this? So stay with me in the rest phase and let's dig deeper. Try to look for the end of this observer, this awareness. Go ahead, try and find where it stops. Challenging, right? Another way to ask the same thing is, am I aware of being aware right now? Does this awareness hit a wall? Does it have a boundary where it just stops? No, not quite. It's seamless, without an endpoint. And what do we call something that stretches on forever, unbounded and wholly encompassing? Infinite. That's what we call infinity. And that's awareness or God self or consciousness for you. It does not divide, partition, doesn't sort life into neat little boxes of good or bad, right or wrong. It doesn't split reality into the lover and the loved, the observer and the observed. It's all one grand, undivided act. So just be here in this moment, be with this realization. You're not just part of the scene, you are the scene. Endless, undivided, and infinite. And what's the deal with infinity? It obviously doesn't do boundaries, doesn't do endings. Infinity knows infinity. It cannot see something called the finite stuff. So it does not pause to label, dissect, or split experiences into two things, into binaries. It doesn't see a lover and the loved, the seer and the seen, or even experiences and experiencer. It's all one unbroken dance of awareness. So just let this be here. Be with this for a moment. Since your awareness is infinite and you're resting in that infinite awareness, then that whole narrative of separation, of needing to fix or figure out life, starts to look a bit redundant, doesn't it? This isn't just a moment of rest. It's a homecoming to your true, boundless nature, which you call awareness, God self, consciousness, the noticer, observer. So here you are, smack in the middle of the rest phase. Think of this as your own little Zen garden or a blank canvas. This is the be still and know you are God experience that echoes through the corridor, like the corridors of various scriptures and spiritual teachings. This isn't just some downtime or chill time. It's the fertile ground from which the expressions of awareness or God or I am, whatever label suits your boat, can spring forth. Can you really see that? This phase is non-negotiable. It's the foundation. It's the bedrock. Without resting here, anchoring here, everything else wobbles. When you leap or skip this part, you wind up with your manifestations like hot and cold, flickering on and off like dodgy streetlights. Because they are trying to build castles, right? You are trying to build castles on clouds, operating from a shaky illusion of lack or the sense of a separate self, rather than from the solid ground of your true nature. So now we glide into the experience phase. This is where you can see the fun as well. So this is when you can, pop up an affirmation or visualize your desired outcome just once, and you'll notice that there's no resistance now. You're not hammering it into your brain to carve out your new neural tracks. You're simply resting in the truth of it because it feels as natural as breathing. This is not about conjuring up a new reality or scrubbing away a problematic past. That past was never real to begin with. Remember, the past does not exist in the first place. So, you get to return to this affirmation whenever it strikes you, whenever you feel like it. Maybe you're sipping your morning coffee or as you wind down at night, or even you're just killing time. There's no quota, there's no prescription for how often. It's like tossing a pebble into a pond whenever you feel like it. You'll know when it's the time to use this pause, rest, and experience phase, because it'll feel just right. That's the beauty of it. You're not forcing the pace. You're not moving mountains. You're just flowing. So let's look at some quick stories with how I applied this pause, rest experience very recently to navigate some roommate stuff. So it's day one in my new apartment, right? It's really exciting. I love where I live. This is another roommate part, but let's go with it anyway. So the dishwasher in the new place is not working from the get-go. It works for 5 minutes and then nothing. It doesn't work. Now the maintenance guy became like a regular guy in my kitchen, popping by 4 times, each visit as fruitless as the last. He finally throws in the towel, muttering about, I need some new parts. When? Who even knows? So meanwhile, the dishes, because other roommates are using it, they're just staging a mutiny in the sink. I'm all for a spotless kitchen. And my rule is actually simple. You use your dish, your cutlery, you wash them, and then you stash them. It's not rocket science, right? But no, dishes started camping out for days because people would not wash them. I would wash mine. And I'm really not about that life. So I found myself in a battle with the mounting mess, trying to force the experience phase, trying to affirm or mentally scrub away the chaos. Then I finally just stopped and I hit pause. I stepped back and just noticed the whole dish drama. My resistance, cranking up the tension, I noticed all of it. Then I was able to switch to the rest phase. I embraced the situation with full awareness. Well, what's the big deal? Awareness doesn't fuss over dirty dishes or broken dishwashers. It just is. It doesn't see the problem because in truth, there is not one. And I didn't try to hammer this in. I just rested in awareness and I was able to see this truth. Now I was able to shift into the experience phase. I just affirmed quite naturally that everything is working out perfectly. Not believing it like, oh, I need to believe this, but noticing that this is already true without a shred of resistance. And guess what happened? About 5 hours later, our maintenance superhero returns. And this time with a brand new dishwasher. Brand new one. A replacement one. So turns out his boss had a change of heart. He's like, why fix when you can just replace it? So now I can hear like the soothing hum of a fully operational dishwasher in the background and a really clean sink. It feels like a little Christmas present. All thanks to stepping into the pause, rest, and experience. I'm showing this because like nothing is too trivial or big or small to use this. Here's another slice of life from the apartment chronicles, just to show how this all comes full circles. One of my apartment mates or flatmates started throwing some shade my way a few weeks ago. She was all like, she seemed passive aggressive, not nice after a minor mishap from her side. And suddenly our daily encounters in the common space for about 3 days, I would say, felt like walking into a frosty fog. So instead of retreating, which is my old go-to move, I decided to stand my ground. But not in the way you might think. I slipped into the pause phase, recognizing the vibe that she was giving out for what they were. They were just vibes, just a state. They're not verdicts on my worth. Then I moved into rest, where I acknowledged that these vibes were no match for the broad, unbothered expanse of awareness or God self that is my true nature. Awareness doesn't flinch at cold shoulders. It doesn't even recognize them as a problem. So by the time I hit the experience phase, I was ready to naturally affirm something very different that came up spontaneously. That, oh, this person is so kind and thoughtful all the time. And guess what happened? The next day, it really was like as though someone flipped a switch. My previously like this, frosty flatmate was all smiles and stories, as warm as a summer afternoon. I mean, I was just like, okay, cool. It was a very nice 180 degrees turn, a testament to the power of seeing things as non-issues from the get-go. They're not a big deal. None of it is. So there you have it. The world mirrors the essence of who you are being most of the time. I've started to embrace more and more non-issue and winning as my new way of life. And as should you. And yeah, I stumble now and then, but I always circle back to pause, rest, and experience. It's a game changer, challenging, but so worth it. And this is not just about, things we classify as small or, insignificant things. It's just This is the art of living well. Not just art of manifesting or revising. It's just you live well. No matter who shares your space, no matter where you are, or what you're doing, or what you're desiring. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.